Hey guys, how you going? You're watching VaulSC. We're going to take a look at a game of infiNity between the iKari company, the Mercenaries, and the Imperial service. As you guys know, I've played a lot of Imperial service. I've, been the commander of the Imperial service army. But this is, I think, my first time playing against them. I can't remember actually having, played against that faction before, so it'll be an interesting one. And the other thing is that Season 10 has brought back the objective room. So we're playing for the first time in a while, Season 10, with the room in the middle. So let's just go have a look at it. Get ourselves a pink. So there's the room right in the center. Objectives here, here, and of course in the room, and around here and around here. And as usual, deployment zones are just going to be cut across like this and like this. Round about there. So my thoughts on engineering deck is that it can be a lot easier to win if you have the second turn, because you can work yourself into a position where you can be thinking, well, let's say our opponent is set up over here and they've taken these three objectives specifically. Well, what you can do, let's say we'll use blue, because if you've got these two here, which you're quite likely to have by the end of the, by the start of the last turn, is you can either go into the room in the active turn and take this objective back, and you might be able to do that with smoke grenades, you might just be able to do that with moving something in and killing whatever your opponent's left in the room, or you can move around to one of the other objectives and you'll still have 3 out of 5, right? So math checks out. So long as you can actually just press one button, you will win, because it's a massive swing of 5 points. This is a bit different to a mission like Comm Center, where your opponent can preemptively take 5 or 6 objectives and keep you down to maybe 1 or 2, and then in the final turn you have to press lots of different buttons and move over to them as well, which is much more difficult than just picking the easiest way to complete the mission. Also, if you're going last, and let's say your opponent's only completed 2 of the objectives and you're only able to get to 2, there are a lot of ways you can win the time breakers, like just dominating the room, for example, or killing everything that they have and just picking up maybe the multi-scanner objective. So it's tough. But as always, infiNity is a game where it can be quite decisive, and you can lose so many models in the 3 game rounds that you can just devastate your opponent with the Alpha Strike, and they can't recover from that. So that's always a possibility. Just a quick look at the deployment zone here, which I'm going to be on this side. This is the iKari table side, and this is the Imperial service table side. We've given both sides of the table some pretty, big elevation platform type things, but remember that the central room is a saturation zone, and it's infinitely high, so it's like a big skyscraper where you can't really see over it, which does do a lot to obscuring the sight lanes. Alright, so my opponent has actually won the dice roll for the initiative and has opted to pick the table side that he wanted, and I've decided to take the second turn just because I feel like, for the reasons discussed earlier, I'll have a much better shot at it. So here we go. There's a Desperado with the assault pistols on the right-hand flank, and then the Link team set up in the middle here. So everybody's prone except for the missile launcher Tanko, of course. Got a Brawler, there's a Hacker, a Fort Observer. There's another Fort Observer just prone behind this wall here, obscured in the distance. There's a Doctor right next to the Tanko. We've got a Flashball spot over here as well. And a bit of a closer look, of course, at where everyone is. Just a bit of a zoom up on them, so you can see that Fort Observer Kaisotsu I just talked about right in there. Who's next? Okay, so a bit of a look at the middle. So there's, I've forgotten to bring my Cordelia model, because I'm running Cordelia and Scarface. So I've got Cordelia represented by this Miranda Ashcroft here, and she is going to be synced up with the Xenotech represented by Candy Double. And then you've got the Brawler MSV2 with a couple of Tankos nearby. We'll see a photo of them in a minute. And the Ninja just poised here to go after the objective further down there. You can see my HVT in the distance. But Ninja is deploying in Camo Marker State because there's an exclusion zone. You can't just deploy right out in the middle of the table. And I want to use his extra order at the start of the game to help me out. So here we go. It's the Tanko Haris team. There's the Flammenspier contender on the left, the Haris light shotgun guy in the middle, and the MSV2 brawler on the right. So my opponent has shown up to the party with doesn't really have any painted models, and he's using a lot of proxies here, so please bear with us. His HVT is on the far right hand side. He's got a Haris team featuring, it's a Cien Warrior multi-rifle with a couple of Zanyings, the Hacker and the Haris option. So that's them, and we've got, I think, a couple of just free-range Guangxi out here. There's a Guangxi Link team on the top of the building, all prone, along with the Warcore. So that's them. There's a closer look at the Cien Warrior and his friends. So there's an extra Guangxi around the corner, and there you go, the Zanying on the left and Zanying Hacker on the right. So Link team, there are that's the Warcore there. There's a Guangxi control device, another Guangxi down here, another one down here. This model here is representing a Xenotech. You can see that's actually one of the HVTs from my model collection, which I'm lending to him. This Garuda is actually going to represent a Dakini paramedic. It's not actually a Garuda. There is Zhizhuang, whatever his name is, with the Crazy Koalas. So he'll be in on the action also. There's a bit of a closer look at him. This model from the Outrage box set is going to be another Guangxi. But yeah, that's where they're all set up in the deployment zone. This Zanying, Zanchi sniper is going to represent a paramedic, sorry, not a paramedic, a Dakini sniper rifle right there. So that's actually a Dakini sniper rifle. We've got a Guangxi control device over this side and another Guangxi represented by some sort of Hakaslam Fide. So as you can see, it's pretty heavy on the represented proxy models, but this is a player who lives out of town. He's about 100 kilometers south of where I live. So I'm just grateful that he came up and wanted to play with us, or play with me specifically. And since I was the one available for the game. My reserve model is Scarface, just hanging here, just getting a very thin fire lane down here, and the hope is that there might be enough room if he gets damaged to guts prone behind this building or low. If they come from too far along the right-hand flank, then that will be problematic. His reserve model is a Cien Warrior Lieutenant with HMG, so he's running the double Cien Warrior in this Imperial service list. Pretty cool. Here we go, starting the game. So Imperial service going first, some impetuous moves from some Guangxi. Also, he's got his, after the impetuous moves are done, the Celestial Guard control device guy just firing a smoke grenade down to here. And the purpose of that is to allow him to move out with his specialists and start pressing the buttons. He does know that I have a missile launcher tanko covering a lot of the table, so this will allow him to do that. So moving up here with the Dakini paramedic towards this objective with the cover of this smoke grenade around about here. So there he is, just getting in position, and he also successfully presses the button as well. At this late moment in the first turn, we both remembered that we'd forgotten to nominate data tracker, so we did that now. I've got the Tanko Haris guy going to be my data tracker, whereas his data tracker is going to be this Cien multi-rifle guy in the Link team. Speaking of which, the Cien team now move out, and the Hacker moves to the point here where he can press the button on the objective and secure that for the Imperial service. So he's now got two of the closer objectives pressed. Over here, Cien Warrior thinking of moving out maybe, and waiting for his helpful buddy here to put the smoke grenade down first. Then we've got Zhizhuang, or whatever his name is, with the Crazy Koalas and the Xenotech attached, moving out and basically going for it, trying to place the multi-scanner, and he does eventually do that. So he's moved up to the side of the objective room, placed the multi-scanner. By the way, I just want to add to a comment that in Season 10 it actually says that the doors of the objective room start open, which I think is a good thing. It's good because in the old version, not only did you have to be the first one to open the doors and move in there to defend it if you're going first, you also have to defend the armory from the middle of the table against your opponent's active turn, which is really, really difficult. So the doors being open takes a small edge off that. Okay, so Cien Warrior with multi-rifle and Haris team now moving out, and they're just trying to reposition. We've got our Cien Warrior thinking about moving up, but he's deciding to go prone instead. And then Dakini paramedic moving into the central objective room to press the button in there before moving back out again. So he's actually managed to pick up 3 objectives, but hasn't killed anything. So normally you'd want to get some sort of alpha strike in with your first turn, but he hasn't seen any opportunities to do that, and his list is perhaps not built with any fast attack options in mind. So he's just gone for getting all the button pressing out of the way and just trying to work his way to the late game, which maybe is not the best strategy given that he won't have the last turn, but he still has his army intact, and his position will be quite well defended. So there's a, what do you call this guy? The Desperado moving out and throwing a smoke grenade down here. The point being is that after the whiny one shows up impetuously, that is, of course, and picking up an X-Visor from the booty, the point of the smoke grenade is that he has decided to leave a couple of his models just watching the table for my active turn, and that's a bit of a no-no considering that he doesn't have anything as strong as a heavy infantry model with a rocket launcher or a heavy missile launcher or anything like that. So this brawler in the Haris team can just stand up, become the team leader, whip out a sniper rifle, and he's got the backup of the Desperado's smoke. So in this image, he's quite easily just shooting up and taking out the War Corps, and then because there's a smoke grenade over here blocking his line of sight to the paramedic, he simply, spends another order, goes idle, and kills this guy as well. As you can see, smoke grenades there. The position of the brawler is here. We've got the Dakini multi-sniper rifle there, so it's just a matter of just picking him off past this. Doesn't stand a chance. I mean, the brawler ignores the mimetism. It's 3 dice to hit on 12s, and the paramedic is shooting back through smoke, so it's just a bit of a waste of a... I keep calling him a paramedic because the other Dakini is a paramedic. This guy's the sniper rifle. Hopefully you guys can follow that better than I have been able to follow it. Speaking of the paramedic, though, he has actually retreated out to this location over here after ticking the box here and pressing the button. So he's actually picked up all 3 objectives for the engineering deck on his side. Okay, so the Tanko team now just moving out a little bit closer now that they've killed off the War Corps and the sniper. Just moving a bit further down here, getting into the position that they need to be in, and eventually coming across to hang out behind this car. There's also a Guangxi on the left-hand flank. We can hit him with the contender and just pick him off so that he's not going to come around here and cause trouble later on. For some reason, this does mean that I take a shot. I think there was, So again, his Dakini paramedic, and I do mean the paramedic this time, did get a free combi rifle shot against one of my tankos because I mispositioned them. But after that, I did destroy the paramedic as well. So he's lost both Dakinis, and he's lost a Guangxi there. And then with some remaining orders, we're moving out with Cordelia, represented by Miranda Ashcroft on the right, moving the Candy Double Xenotech out into the table. We've got the smoke grenade to help us, and she's moving over to press the button on the objective, fails twice in a row to press the button on the objective, and just ends up positioned here without the Xenotech button being, multi-scanner being dropped. So my opponent actually has an opportunity to kill Cordelia here, and if he does that, not only will I not have a specialist on this side to actually press the button, I won't have placed the multi-scanner either, so that could actually be quite crippling. Ninja giving up its position now to move down and through over to the objective. This is with Group 2's orders, by the way. We've expended all of Group 1's orders. So the Ninja pressing the button on the objective successfully, then moving up through here. And I want the Ninja on this side of the table as quick as possible because he's got a Zanying hacker, and the Ninja might be really good at Aero Red Rum at the hacker as it moves past with the Haris team. So that's the idea there. So there we go. Mercenary's taken over this objective here. Cool. And we've got the Desperado repositioning behind this building. She'll be useful later on for some smoking purposes. Okay, so Imperial Service turn 2. We've got this Guangxi moving out. And then we've got the other control device laying down, so the control device over here, firing a smoke grenade to this spot, and that'll allow the Sien Warrior to move out and actually do a bit of damage with its multi-rifle. So moving over to the side location here, just getting into position, and as you can see, I didn't have enough orders to retreat with my Tanko, so that's a bit of a mistake from me, just miscalculated. So the Sien Warrior able to fire its multi-rifle at this particular angle while staying in range of the smoke cloud here. I think you guys can probably appreciate, though, that the Tanko isn't a link team. He's firing at the Sien Warrior who does not have cover with a Flammenspeer. So Ballistic Skill 13, plus 3 for range on the Flammenspeer, minus 6 is 10s to hit on 2 dice. So not too bad. And the Sien Warrior is actually out of range. He's not up against cover, but Ballistic Skill 14 goes down to 11 on 4 dice with the multi-rifle in the link team. So you're rolling 4 dice on 11s against 2 dice on 10s. If you guys have ever played the Operation Ice Storm opening sort of tutorial games, you'll know that even if you've got a couple of extra dice to go with, if the scores are fairly level, you know, every so often you're going to just take a hit to the face. And in this case, if you take a hit to the face from a Flammenspear, that could just kill you outright. So the Sien Warrior taking a bit of a risk here, but luckily for him, he pulls through and he does kill the Tanko. So good job to him. And game moves on. On this side, we've got the other control device, just able to move around the corner a little bit, fire a smoke grenade over here, which potentially allows the Sien Warrior to move around and do stuff. Okay, so let's see what comes of that. Sien Warrior with HMG now moving down the walkway, and we'll get to a position where he can start shooting at Scarface. So Scarface has a couple of Panzerfaust rounds to fire back with. The point of that is that if he gets very lucky and hits the Sien Warrior, well, that's the lieutenant down, right? And you know, Panzerfaust's pretty good at knocking out heavy infantry. So the Sien Warrior predictably wins the shootout here, but Scarface has armor 8 with cover included, and I'm rolling some really good armor saves here, and not even a single shot goes through. So after a couple of attempts, the Panzerfaust ammunition runs dry, but Scarface still not actually taking any wounds, and my opponent actually running out of orders here. So the Sien Warrior eventually retreats, tail between his legs, couldn't achieve anything, and yeah, the Scarface is actually perfectly fine here. The other Sien Warrior, just making sure it's staying behind total cover, but of course just peeking out a little bit behind this side with the Sien Warrior multi-rifle and this side with the Zanyan combi rifle. So he's got a little bit of, you know, a little bit of the pie really, of the aero sight lanes, but not very much, just to either side of this a piece of terrain. Okay, coordinator is going down now, so Guangxi's just moving around various different places, setting up shop. We've got Zhizhuang, or whatever his name is, with his koalas holding the center as well. They'll be quite annoying when I try to retake the room. So we've got one Guangxi coming right through to the corner. This will mean that if he goes impetuous around here or around here, the missile launcher up on the building should be able to you know, take either side of that, so to speak. Okay. Alright, so it's now iKari turn 2, and this Desperado moving towards the position of the Guangxi behind the big building to the right hand side, but not so far that we run into chain rifle range. Elsewhere, the Yuan impetuously moving out, but we realize he does have line of sight to the Sien Warrior in the distance, and the Sien Warrior does indeed kill him with the multi-rifle in the long range. That's a bit of a shame. Now, of course, the priority here is Cordelia, and my opponent hadn't actually decided to go after her. Luckily for me, otherwise this would be a really problematic situation. But Cordelia does now press the button on the objective. So I've got 2 of my objectives, he's got 3. And she presses the pass the wheel check to get the multi-scanner down. So we're even on multi-scanners. Imperial Service have 3 objectives, I've got 2 with iKari here. So Scarface, seeing the opportunity now to get in the way and be annoying and generally make it hard for my opponent to set up for his last, you know, final turn. Moving around the flank with the tag. And the idea being here is that if the tag can go and kill Zhizhuang, or whatever his name is, I don't know how to pronounce his name, that will neutralize the crazy koalas, sorry, the mad traps, which is something I really, really want to do. So he's going to move around the flank here. He's out of Panzerfaust ammunition, but he doesn't need it. He's going to take on the Guangxi lying around here, and then anybody who's in this position here, just from the flank, right? So first up, moving over here to take on the Guangxi and just ripping into him with the double Mark 12s. Has to spend a couple of orders doing that, but it's worth it. Kills the Guangxi eventually. And then, as you can see from this position, just reaching around here the side to get to our friendly Chinese Imperial serviceman. And that kills him. Now, my opponent seemed to think that as an ARO, you can actually set one of your mad traps in place. I couldn't be bothered looking up. I believe that is correct. So he sets this mad trap in place. But the other one is neutralized, and of course this guy is killed by the Mark 12s from Scarface. Now here's an interesting moment. What I decided to go for here is take a little bit of a risk and move 3 inches out here, or a couple of inches out here with Scarface, and then move the other 4 inches back around here, triggering the mad trap deliberately, which obviously boosts around here and comes into Scarface. The thinking is that I've got an opportunity to pass the physical check, although it will be difficult, and if that's failed, I've got an opportunity to pass the physical check again, you know, for the mad trap. And if I can eliminate it, it'll make it a lot easier for me to either go to the central room or to this particular objective we're seeing on screen right now with my specialist, possibly Cordelia, without having to worry about a mad trap. And my thinking is that with Scarface out there on the middle of the table, you know, he's in a position where he's going to get shot pretty badly and probably will die. The reason why maybe this is a mistake, though, is that if I do get immobilized by the mad trap, I'm sort of wasting an opportunity there for my opponent in his final turn, which he needs to get a lot of work done with, to have to kill Scarface, and it might take, you know, 3 or 4 orders to actually shoot him to death, especially considering that the Sien Warrior with HMG would be firing at close range, and that wouldn't be particularly effective, right? So what happens here is that Scarface fails both phys checks and gets immobilized by the Crazy Koala, which is a bit of a setback, really. It was unlucky that happened, but to be honest, I shouldn't have really done that in the first place. What I should have done is just shot at it. I'd forgotten I could have just shot the what do you call those, the Mark 12s at the Crazy Koala and killed it that way, which would have been by far the superior move. So a big blunder there from me, sadly. Ninja, moving up along this pathway, and he's going to be going prone right here on this corner, and as you can see, that will extend a zone of control around here, and we've got a Zanying hacker behind this building, and if he comes out towards the middle of the table, he's going to run into red rum range, so that's at least a deterrent, which should help. So there he is there, just parked on the corner. I've got a brawler with a multi-sniper here, which I believe just repositions carefully behind the objective. And then it is, yeah, so he's basically stood up for the objective to catch a few Guangxi. So it's the final turn for Imperial service, and now we've got the March of the Guangxi just moving out into the middle of the table. So this does allow me to take some shots now with the brawler, firing down this lane against this Guangxi here. And I think there's another one up top here, because he's basically decided to remove the link team now and get them to all run out impetuously so that they can provide arrows, which is a smart thing to do. You've got to set up as many bodies as you can, even if they've just got pistols, to deter the final, you know, last turn push. Sadly, the brawler gets a bit unlucky here. He's not on a link team because the tango's been destroyed, and unfortunately the Guangxi managed to dodge a lot of his shots. Okay, so you can see, sort of see a little bit of positioning. We've got one Guangxi over here. We've got the smoke launcher guy coming around here. He's going to be able to provide a combi rifle down this avenue as well, which could be quite useful. Don't forget there's a Sien Warrior prone on top of that walkway over there too. Okay, so what happens next? We've got the multi-rifle group. What they're going to be doing is trying to get the hacker to move just along the edge. He's just hoping that the zone of control of the ninja will just fall short as he moves past through the little corridor there with the hacker. So let's see what happens. Does move in range. The Zanying is as far away as possible. We test the zone of control and realize that he's just barely made it outside of the zone of control of the ninja, so nothing happens with the hacking. Then he's able to use his control device, which is further up in the building, to lob a smoke grenade down here, which is going to, of course, cover this area with smoke. That's going to allow his team to move through into the building here and capture the building. But also the multi-rifle of the Sien Warrior here is going to be really good at picking things off. The Brawler also has MSV2, but he's not going to be very good in the reactive turn against the Sien Warrior multi-rifle in a Haris team, is he? So that's what happens first. Sien Warrior moving through on this corner, just picking around, killing the Brawler pretty easily. Problem is that if he leaves this smoke, though, he is going to be up against a Tanko missile launcher and a core link team. So he can't really move out here, but he doesn't really need to. He's just going to pick up with his friends here, the Zanyings, and go inside the building. So that's what's going to be happening next. Everybody's just sitting up in the building quite carefully. They do have to be careful, though, because if they bunch up, the missile launcher might be able to change position in the last turn and blow them all up with a template. So here they are. They're all coming into the corner, and precariously, if I do bother to move the missile launcher down there and have a go at them, they could all be exploded pretty easily. We've still got a Guangxi in the middle of the room as well, who managed to survive somehow against the Brawler Sniper. Last turn, trying to have a go at him. Okay, so now it's the Sien Warrior's turn, and the Sien Warrior, so after the control device puts down a smoke grenade in the same position, is able to move out. I think we had another photo of the Guangxi as well, but anyway, here comes the Sien Warrior, and his goal is to get into a position somehow where he can take on the Tanko, who's over here and able to overlook him if he comes around the side. But his plan is to actually go after Cordelia and the Tanko at the same time. Now, this is perhaps a little bit of a blunder, because if you only spend like 1 or 2 dice going short range against Cordelia, she's got a good range band for the combi and might survive it. If you put all of your shots into Cordelia, well, the Tanko missile launcher is probably going to blow you up. If you only shoot at the Tanko missile launcher, well, you kind of let Cordelia get off lightly there. And taking 2 wounds off a Tanko is quite a hard thing to do when he's in cover like that. So it's a bit awkward. My opponent decides to split burst here and not put all of his dice against the Tanko, which does mean it's much more likely the Tanko will kill him. And the outcome here is that Cordelia survives, and the Tanko gets a hit with the missile launcher finally, and blows up his Sien Warrior Lieutenant. Now, losing the Lieutenant doesn't matter, it's his last turn, but this puts me in an advantage now because he's got no ARO on that side of the table with the Sien Warrior. What I would have done in his position... Oh shit, what am I doing? What I would have done is, just coming back here, is I would have left the Sien Warrior further back along this walkway, just covering some annoying sight lanes to the objectives. So if I pick up Cam and move out to take the objectives with Cordelia or the Link team or whoever, I've got to go and shoot the Sien Warrior first. And again, in the reactive turn, he's got armor 4, he's got cover, he's got an HMG, he's got MSV2. So it's going to take too long, and he's probably going to prevent me from getting the objectives I need to get. Anyway, that's not what happens. The Sien Warrior does die. So again, everybody's bunched up in the corner of the building, just cowering for their lives, hoping that a missile launcher doesn't come looking for them. And we've got, you know, Quang Shi every which way. Okay, so my final turn here, the data tracking Tanko is extremely impetuous, moves out and fires at the Quang Shi, but takes a wound for his trouble. I'm realizing that with, I think, 9 orders in Group 1, or even 10 orders in Group 1 after I switch a couple out with the command tokens, there are 2 orders with which the ninja could use to potentially just win the game by climbing down the wall and going for an attack here, going for a bit of a push on the objective. So it costs the ninja 1 order to climb down. This reveals the camo, and everybody that can see it gets a free ARO. So this model here can fire a combi rifle at the ninja for free. This Quang Shi has to change facing because he's facing the wrong way. And there's another control device further out on the battlefield there which can actually shoot at the ninja as well. But the ninja does have TO camo. So luckily, both of the Celestial Guards miss their shots, and the ninja now gets to spend a 2nd order just moving over to the objective. And bear in mind, if it passes the whip-out check, I'll have more of these objectives, so that's 5 points to me. I'll have the multi-scanner in place, so that's 2, so I'll have 7. Whereas my opponent will have controlled the objective room with his data tracker and have the multi-scanner placed, which is only 6. And with neither of us picking up our classifieds, that's a 1 victory point win. Sadly for me though, the ninja flubs the willpower check, and I've got no more orders left in Group 2. The ninja in fact does get shot by the combi rifle now and dies. So I'm having to spend 10 orders from Group 1 to somehow go after these objectives. So I can either go into the middle of the room here. Problem with that is there's a saturation zone there. I've got to get a specialist in there without dying. I've got to spend a lot of orders moving the Tanko into position to clear out the guys in the middle. But there's also a whole bunch of people as well. There's a Celestial Guard here, Celestial Guard over here, there's a Quang Shi here, there's a Quang Shi here, there's another Quang Shi in the building, there's another Quang Shi at the back. So just moving one specialist, as you can see, is going to be really annoying because they're just going to be taking pistols from everywhere. And if you spend 2 or 3 orders getting to position and a pistol kills your specialist, you're just not going to have enough time. You're just going to lose. So this is a really, 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 really awkward position. After thinking about it for some time, I decided that my best bet was to slowly start moving the Tanko around and spend about half my orders just blowing everybody up. Just splitting burst, putting a missile here, missile here, missile here, missile here, missile here. And after several orders of doing that, hopefully if everything's blown up, Cordelia can actually move out over to this objective on the side and perhaps press the button. He does have the Zhanying Sien Warrior Link team in the corner here, but the doorway, there's only a very thin line of sight out of it, and she can actually cautious move past it. So that is going to be the plan. So Tanko moving out, starting to get some shots. We've also got the Kaisatsu's following him around to maintain coherency, blowing up some Quang Shi, still continuing to move around, blowing up Celestial Guard, blowing up Quang Shi. He's got a line finally to this guy in the room here. This guy's destroyed. He's going to get a line to this guy over here. And what he's doing here is he's splitting burst. One on that guy, one on that guy. The Guangxi do not have cover because they're extremely impetuous. So the ones within 24 hitting on 16s. Then there's 3 armor saves. The ones beyond 24 hitting on 19. So he's pretty good at doing this, all things considered. And then we get to a spot where all the Guangxi are dead. And these guys, as you can see, have got a line just through the room here. By the way, I know that you're not allowed to have scenery in the objective room, but you know, house rules, I like to play that with a little bit of scenery. Regardless, even if this little box wasn't here, these guys would have only had, you know, a thin sort of alleyway here, and Cordelia is able to set up past here and do a cautious move past it, no matter how much they have, because they're just so bunched up at the corner. So Cordelia does actually manage to get past, and she has something like 3 attempts to go for the objective. I actually failed the first one, so a bit spooked out by that, but I passed the next one after that, and that's 3 objectives successfully taken for iKari, but it turned out to be a bit of a closer game than I thought. I had only won by a single objective point, and as you guys can see here, I could easily have just fucked this whole thing up, right? So the Tanko, maybe he could have missed shots. The Xian Warrior, maybe he could have actually killed the Tanko missile launcher, which probably would have sealed the game, or even killed Cordelia, which would have made it really hard, because then I have to move my Kaisotsu Link team into the objective room, and I've got no smoke. They have to contend with the Haris team there. So yeah, it could have easily been a loss, basically. But again, blunders were blunders. I think that if I hadn't played Scarface poorly in his little run against the koala and just shot it, then that would have made life a lot easier for me, because then he's having to spend a lot of orders trying to deal with Scarface, and also Scarface can then fire his arrows at the Guangxi as they go free in the last turn, which would have been very effective. And I can easily pop Joe Turner out of the cockpit of the tag as well, and use him to press a button, which would have also been really, really good. So I think that was my weakest play in this game. My opponent made a few mistakes as well, as you guys could see, but we both had a really good time, and it was a really close game. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for sticking around.